process.
Hello, my name is Pen, and welcome to a little series I started called PenMark Process. Basically, I'm going to walk you through the process that PenMark, me, that I take as I draw a picture. I've got a lot of pictures. I do freelance art. You can check me out on PenMarkArt.com. I also have a Twitter and DeviantArt, and you can support me on Patreon if you want a lot of bonuses every day. So, this first picture, I have a dog here. This is part of a little challenge I've been doing over on Patreon where I take a bunch of words that rhyme and try to combine them into one picture. It's a fun little challenge. I'm surprised how much fun I've had out of this. It's a good challenge. And so I'm going for a classic pose of a dog here. Little triangle pose, dog is sitting. And a key part of this is that you understand what the object is. So I don't want any confusion of, is this a wolf or a fox? Oh, it's a dog. So I'm trying to keep with the classic details of what a dog is. Obviously, sometimes artwork is better if you let things be more mysterious and you let the audience decide. That can be really fun. But here, for the joke of all these words that rhyme, I need you to think the word dog. So I would Google something, the word dog, and without clicking on one of them, I'll look at the common theme. I'll look at all those images just on the page, 20 of them, and see what's in common. And one of the things I noticed was they tend to sit and their ears are floppy. Not all dogs, but it worked for this. So I did floppy ears. He's very cartoony. He's got a big head because I want this to be fun. That's the vibe I want. And I did a tiny bit of shading, but most of this is just simple shapes because it saves me time. That's one secret I've been learning that's really cool about doing daily posts. You get to learn something quicker, and I noticed you can save a lot of time if you just do simple shapes and save the details for the tiny spot that matters. So like right in the face, I'll put a ton of detail in the face. And then the rest of this, I'll just keep it to the simple, clean shape. And maybe add a tiny detail if I need it. That saves you time, so you can focus on what matters, and you don't have to spend 10 hours on a picture. Once we got the little dog here in his cute little pose, then the next rhyming word is hog. This kind of turned me into Dr. Seuss after a while. The big thing with hogs is that they had much wider circles. I did some circles with the dog, but in contrast, this hog had much wider shapes, which helped me a lot when I looked at that page of Google images, noticing the common trend is that they're very bottom heavy and very wide. So that helped remind me of what to focus on. And also, I didn't expect this at all. The ears. I wasn't expecting hogs or pigs to have such big ears. They were quite big triangles. I wasn't expecting that. So I focused on the triangles, which also helps break up all these circles. He's got his cute little eyes, I couldn't help but shade, and a little bit on his nose as well, which I had to keep redrawing and make it wider and wider so that it looked right. I wanted contrast between the dog and the hog, so they're kind of a dynamic there. And that means I focus on the significant details on the Google image page. And the third word here was log, which right now all the characters are smack dab in the center, which is okay. Sometimes a picture can have a really cool, epic vibe, really powerful, if you do objects smack in the center. But it can also make things look flat if it's just everything smack in the center. So to make it more interesting, add some asymmetry. So I have the log kind of going into the background. And of course, still added some simple shading if I needed it to help it pop, like under the shadow of that log. And otherwise just kept it really simple, some sketchy lines for texture. And then moved on to the background, which was bog. So we have our dog on a hog, on a log, in a bog. And for me, that's essentially just a swamp, but I know there's technically a difference, so I still Googled it. And this gave me a little trouble at first, trying to figure out how do I give this texture of muddy swamp. So I added a gradient, a fade from gray to kind of light, and kept the darker colors up top. So it feels like the room is dim, like the forest is dim and muddy. It gives the right atmosphere that I'm looking for. And then I go in and add some shading of white to brighten it up. Specifically, I lightened the characters because I need you to look at the characters first. because that's where the joke comes in of dog on a hog on a log. And then you notice the bog. So that's why my order of operations was to add a bunch of white immediately for the characters to stand out on the dark background. And I would touch up the details as I need to, but I've already put all the pieces in the right place. So then I can take my time with the detail if I have time. And that concludes this episode of PenMark Process. This was brought to you by all of my support over on Patreon. I am still a small freelance artist, so if you would like to support me and see more of this and bonus artwork and prizes and tutorials, I do daily posts over on Patreon, and you can see all of them for any amount of support you can give. It makes a huge impact on my life. This is my career, so it helps me any way you can support me. If you have suggestions on what I want to do, let me know in the comments below so I can try that out too. And otherwise, thank you for watching this episode. My name is Pen, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.